Hey everybody, Motopoet here. How's everyone doing? Well, I had another dismal week in PulpMX Fantasy because in each class one of my riders scored 0 points. Not because they got beat badly or anything, but because they got hurt and didn't finish. So we'll start with the results in the 250 class. Christian Craig finished first. Michael Mosman led about half the race before Craig finally got by him, and Craig never really ran away with the race. Mosman stayed right there behind him. I think this is going to be a good fight. Mosman is capable of beating Craig, I believe. I think he's got the confidence. He certainly has the talent and the speed. So I'm looking forward to a good contest between these guys throughout the season. Hunter Lawrence finished third again. Steady Eddie, just like I said last week. Good guy to pick in your fantasy league. He seems like he's always going to be there. I don't know if he just has that speed throughout the entire course of a race to hang with Mosman and Craig. Nate Thrasher managed to stay on two wheels this week and finish fourth. Doing really well last week, as you saw, and crashed. I was glad to see him up. I can pick him again this week. I think I will. We'll see, though. Jalik Swoll finishing fifth. That really doesn't surprise anyone. Jalik is fast and has proven his ability to win. Carson Brown, a lot of people were writing him off. He surprised a lot of people by finishing where he did. He had a good race, good solid race, and a good solid finish. And I don't know why so many people are down on him. Joe Shimoda, that poor guy, for the year he had last year being so solid, he's having the worst luck in the world, chasing Vince Friese down for third place, and Friese went down in front of him. Shimoda hit Friese's helmet with his forks and his foot peg and knocked poor old Vince for a loop, but and Vince didn't finish. His team said that he's okay, though, and he will be lining up at Glendale, so that's good to hear. A lot of the keyboard warriors were getting on Shimoda, and I don't engage in those conversations. I just see what people have to say, see what is going on. And a lot of people were dogging Shimoda. How come you didn't stop? How come you just went on ahead and ran into him? Well, for one thing, those people that are saying that don't race Supercross. They probably don't race anything. They just race their fingers across keyboards. But those guys are hauling ass. Those whoops are gigantic. You've never seen whoops like that. And you can't just change direction or slam on your brakes. Then you're going to crash. It's a dangerous situation. And besides that, when Friese went down, when he got up, he was moving toward that side of the track. Shimoda was already committed to that side of the track. Had Friese stood straight up, he wouldn't have got hit, but that's not what happened. So if you're dogging Joe, stop it. He lost a couple of positions because of it. Fair enough. And I'm sure Vince doesn't hold it against him. Carson Mumford finished 8th, and that's really cool. Robbie Wageman finished 9th. I don't know what Robbie's handicap is, but I think it's up there. Could be a good pick for next week. Derek Kelly, I know his handicap isn't real big, but I almost went with him this week. I wish I would have now because I'll get into my teams in a minute. But good top 10 finish for Kelly, and maybe time to start picking him as a higher handicap rider. The 450s, Eli Tomac looked like his old self. He was flying out there. Anderson was putting in faster lap times for a little while, but Eli picked it up at the end and kept the distance between he and Anderson. And he looked really good. He looked really comfortable on the bike, and he sounded really happy to be in the winner's circle again. Anderson is still on fire. I think that overall he's still the fastest guy. He was able to put those heaters in faster than Eli when Eli was up front, and so I don't know. We'll see how that goes. The incident being one of the incidents being talked about is the Roczen Anderson thing, where Anderson passed Roczen. Roczen went down. Some people are saying they thought it was dirty, but if you go back and look at it, he really didn't make contact. He just blasted into that turn underneath Roczen. I think he surprised Kenny. I don't think Kenny had any clue that he was going to be there. But as I told my son-in-law when that happened, when you're racing at that level and you know somebody's fast is behind you, you need to expect them to be there. You can't count on them. You can't count on people leaving your lines alone. Anderson was going to the front. He wasn't messing around, and that's the way El Hombre races. He likes to play rough, and you better be ready to go. So I don't have a problem with that. I love Ken Roczen. I've always been a fan of his, and I'm sorry to see that he's lost his edge, which I think is what's happening. But it is what it is, and Anderson is out to fight for this title. It's obvious that's what he's going to do, and it just doesn't look like Kenny has that heart this year. Sexton had kind of an unremarkable race after the show he put on last week, but he still finished third. That was good. Ferrandis looked pretty good, but one of the things I wonder about Ferrandis has a negative handicap, and I don't get that. He just hasn't had those kind of results this year, or that kind of speed. He's got the one podium and then this fifth, and those are his best finishes, and I don't know where they're getting that minus handicap. So I won't be picking him for my team until that changes. Malcolm Stewart, solid in fifth, but still kind of a plaid ride, you might say. Just he's hauling ass. He's going fast, but everybody's going fast. And if he wants to contend for this title, he's going to have to pick it up. Fourth, fifth, sixth every week is just not going to get it done with these guys that are hauling ass. Marvin Musquin, I don't know what to think about Marvin. He's certainly not he's not going to be a contender this year for the title. I don't know. He looks good sometimes and he looks terrible sometimes. I don't know what to think of him, so I'll leave him alone in my fantasy league. I'm not going to touch him. Barsha is God. If the guy could just get starts, he could do well. But you just can't count on coming through the pack. And this week he didn't even do that. He got a terrible start, and he just never really got going. And I didn't think, and that's a shame. I really thought he would be a contender, and he still is. He's not that far out of the points, but he can't afford any more rides like this. He has to stay in the top four at the very least, probably in the top three. If you're not going to be in the top three regularly this season, I don't think you're going to be a contender. Cooper Webb, he better get going. He is perfectly capable of winning races. He's proven that over the last few years, 2 championships, but he better get going. The season's already getting old. He's putting himself in a position where he may have to win out to make a run at this, and that's impossible to do. He's fast, but he ain't fast enough to win it all, to win them all. He's certainly fast enough to win the championship, and it's not too late, but he better get going right now. Dean Wilson, how great to see him back in the top 10. I love Dean Wilson. I have always been a fan of his since his rookie year in the 250 class. I like everything about him. I like his riding, I like his style, I like his attitude, everything. He's a really neat guy. I met him in the pits and talked to him. He's a real friendly guy, and it's good to see him back in the top 10. Maybe time to start looking at him. I believe he's a low handicap still, even though he hasn't had any results. Shane McElrath, top 10, racing his way back into things. There's another guy to look for in teams. I'm not sure what his handicap is, but I'll guarantee you that I will know by the time they open up the picks again on PulpMX Fantasy. Okay, well, let's talk a little bit about my teams and my dismal weekend. Okay, in the 250 class, I had Joe Shimoda, Carson Mumford, Vince Freese, and Caden Amarine. Or is it Amarine? They never say his name. He's a back marker, but he had a high handicap. He qualified really well, and he went straight from his heat to the main. I was really psyched. He had a handicap of 12, and I felt really good about him. He looked really good in qualifying. In the end, I think he went down maybe even a couple of times. He was running in 11th at about the halfway point, and then all of a sudden he was way back. So I'm assuming he fell, and The next time I saw him, he was in 18th, and then he ended up finishing 20th. But like I said, he was a 12 handicap, and I got double points. So it was the same as him finishing 10th. And I said I got double points. Can't remember how many points that is. Not very many. Whatever it was, I got double. Vince Freezy, obviously, he went out. He was a 4 handicap, and man, if he could have just scored that top fin. And I'm so far behind in the series, it doesn't matter, but it would make me feel good to have a nice score at least one weekend. So Vince got a 0 for me. Carson Mumford was an 8 handicap, and he finished 8th, so I got the same as first place points for him. Joe Shimoda was 7th with a 4 handicap, so I got 3rd place points for him. So my 250 class thing, other than Mumford, wasn't all that great. 450s, I had Sexton, Stewart, Bogle, and Plessinger. Justin Bogle, 12 handicap, finished 14th, same as second, double points. I will, in this series, as I told you in this league, you can't pick the same riders every week, which I think is good. I think it's a good idea. You just have a whole bunch of people picking the same people all the time. Keeps you on your toes, but I'll pick Bogle every time he is a 10 or higher handicap, because he's perfectly capable of finishing up there, especially if he gets one of his great starts. Malcolm Stewart, 6 handicap, finished 5th, so I get first place points for him. Sexton finished 3rd with a 4 handicap, so I get first place points for him. Plessinger zeroed out on me. But the rest of my riders in the 450 class were all had good solid finishes. I'm not sure who I'm going to pick next week, but I'm definitely going to take Anderson and Tomac, and then maybe swing for the fences and do the same thing with the other 2 guys and do the same thing in the 250 class. I can pick Craig and Mosman and then swing for the fences. And I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm so far behind, it really doesn't matter. I'll never catch up. But see if I can make some headway. All right, next weekend, Glendale, I will be there. I'm actually going to Phoenix and watch this race. I'm looking forward to it. My wife was supposed to go with me, but some other obligations came up, and she's going to have to take care of that. So I'll be going alone. I don't have anyone to take because when the race is over, I'm going on about a 10-day vacation, so I will have an empty seat next to me, and I wish she could go. But I'm still going to enjoy myself. I'm going to shoot some videos. One of the things that I might say for all 6 of you that watch these, if you're not already on my other channels, Mark Clay McGowan is my main channel. That is Railroad, History, whatever tickles my fancy. It's a pretty popular channel. It's got a lot of subscribers and a lot of views, and I really enjoy doing it. I spend a lot of time with that channel, most of my time. Moto Poet 59 is my political channel. If you're not a conservative, you probably won't enjoy that channel unless you simply enjoy arguing, debating, and being angry with those who disagree with you. You got any ideas? What do you think? What do you think about some of these riders? Go look up their handicaps. If you do PulpMX, I know that not all leagues do handicaps. They work differently than Pulp, but I like the handicap thing. I like the way that works, and go check it out. Let me know what you think about things. Are you doing a league? I've asked before. Let me know in the comments below. Shoot me an email at motopoet59@gmail.com. Like, share, subscribe, click on the bell if you want to be notified of future content. We'll see you all later.